Now, Secretary of State Antony Blinken is back in the Middle East to meet with leaders in Israel.
Yeah, he says his top priorities include humanitarian aid and protecting civilians as the fighting intensifies in Gaza. Here's what he had to say while meeting with Israel's president.
It is very important that when it comes to the protection of civilians who are caught in the crossfire of Hamas is making, that everything be done to protect them and to bring assistance to those who so desperately need it.
And our Chris Holmstrom joins us now with the very latest on the war. Chris.
Yes, so right now there is hope. That's at least a glimmer of hope with the war. So the President Biden, he's saying more than 70 Americans, they got out of Gaza yesterday alone. But the death toll, it continues to rise. And Hamas says more than 9,000, including more than 3,000 children, have died since the war began. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken landed in Tel Aviv on his second trip to the Middle East since the conflict began nearly a month ago. He says he's focused on protecting innocent civilians caught in the ceasefire, getting humanitarian aid into Gaza, and reaching a sustainable peace between Israel and the Palestinians.
We're determined that this conflict not spread.
The visit comes 3 days after the gates opened at the Rafah crossing, allowing hundreds of foreign passport holders, including dozens of Americans, passage from war-torn Gaza into Egypt.
I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to see the family that I left behind or the friends that I left behind. People are dying. Everybody's dying. Nobody's safe.
The Biden administration says it supports temporary pauses in fighting in order to get Americans and hostages out of Gaza and humanitarian aid in, though it is not in favor of a general ceasefire. Israel's military says the encirclement of Gaza City is complete as the fighting expands deeper into the territory. Hamas says an Israeli airstrike on the refugee camp Thursday is believed to have killed at least a dozen Palestinians. While visiting the UK, Vice President Kamala Harris called some of the images out of Gaza, quote, heartbreaking.
It is absolutely tragic when there is ever anywhere any loss of innocent life.
Though the Vice President also said the administration is not telling Israel how to conduct the war. And yesterday, the House of Representatives passed a $14 billion Israel aid bill, despite a veto threat from the White House. However, the bill is not likely to get past the Democrat-controlled Senate, where many lawmakers from both parties oppose separating Israel aid from Ukraine assistance. So that is the very latest. A lot to come still.
All right. Chris, thank you.
You're welcome.
And stay with KCAL News and KCALnews.com for the latest developments in the Israel-Gaza war and its impact here and around the world. We're also streaming 24/7 on CBS News Los Angeles.
CBS News Los Angeles, your local news, streaming wherever, whenever.